Reading this equation, it says, take x, divide it into two pieces, and let it equal to 8. Saying it another way, you could state it as half a number. Remember back to those lessons in the past when we had to read equations? You can read this as half of a number equals 8. What is the number worth? What is that number worth? We can show this really easily using these integer tiles. We can take that x, because that is what it says. It says take x. I'm going to flip him around just to make space. I'm going to make him bigger as well. Take x and split him in half. That's what divide by 2 means. It means split him in half. So I'm just going to make a dotted line down the middle, as if I am cutting him. So now I have this, and it says half of an x is worth 8. Now I could use this positive 8 and use these red pieces to symbolize positive 8, or I can get a little bit cool and use money to represent the same thing. These are positive dollars. And all I need to do is make half of an x. Let's make this half here, make it worth $8. Positive $8. 2. I'm going to get 3, 4. And at this point here, I'll just duplicate it. And I've got 8. Now, because it is very cluttered, I can take the easy route and just go like this. 8. Say this is $8. How much would the other half be? It would be $8. Because I'm telling you half of a number, this is the mystery number, half of it is worth 8. So the other half must also be worth 8. And what I need to know is how much x is worth. How much is the full x worth? Because I just care about x. I don't want half of an x, I want the full thing. Very easily we can look at this and say it is worth $16. This is the full thing. It's worth $16. 8 times 2. It is 8 times 2 equals 16. That's it. X equals 16. In this case, $16. Looking at this side here, we look at the variable and we see that x is now split into 4 pieces. So we will take our x. We will cut them into 4 parts. Here's half. And here's 4 parts. And when you do that, it is worth 5. What is worth 5? A fourth of x is worth 5. This is worth $5. So that must mean since this piece is the same size, it is also worth $5, and they are all worth $5. And that means the full x is going to be worth $20. Because $5 times 4 of them equals 20. You see the pattern here? We have 2 times 8, and here we have 4 times 5. And if you've watched my other videos, you have learned that the trick to all of it's not a trick. It is the methodology is always do the opposite operation. Here we are dividing, so what we need to do is we need to multiply the other side as well as this side. And I'm going to show you really quickly before I go into detail. All we do is we times this side by 4. You put the 4 on top because then you are multiplying the top by 4. And monkey see, monkey do, right? So you're going to times this side by 4 and do it on the top. Mr. Melham, there is no top. It is just a 5. You know by now that any number can be written as a fraction, don't you? So this is technically a 5 over 1. So writing that 4 on the top here would mean writing it on the top there. Just like that. Now look what happens on this side. You get the 4's cancel out, leaving just an x, right? Because you have a fourth times 4 makes a whole x, if that makes any sense, right? You take a quarter, you times it by 4, you get the full x. That's what we've done here. And the 4's cancel, you just get x, the full deal. And here we get 20. So we get 20 equals x. Over on this side, we multiplied the top by 2 because that would cancel them out, leaving just an x. This does not make 0. This makes 1x. This 2 divided by 2 is a 1. Right? They're on top of each other. They're being divided. 2 over 2 is just 1x. And if you take a half and you double it, which is what we've done by timesing by 2, you get the full x. But to copy it, you have to multiply the other side on the top, the numerator. Remember, this is 8 over 1. Multiply this top by 2, and you get 16. X equals 16, just like what we got. Let's do it a little bit more formal. We have here x over 2 equals negative 8. So what's the first step? If you remember back in the other lesson, remember we start on the variable side. Start with the variable side. I'll write monkey see, monkey do. That's the second trick. And the rule is opposites. If it says divide, you got to multiply, right? And that really sets you up. That's all you got to do. So here we have the variable side. Oh yes, eliminate. Eliminate everything but the variable. Leave him alone. He's happy. Leave him there. The divide by 2 is really bad. We don't like the divide by 2. So how do you kill a divide by 2? You multiply it by 2. You double it. How do you get rid of a half? You double the half. You times by 2. And when you do that, they cancel. But then on the top of this one here, you gotta times it by 2. Write it exactly the way I'm showing you, just like this. Even switch colors. And then you will get x equals negative 8 times positive 2 is negative 16. Mr. Melham, in the last one it said positive $16. Yes, but the last one said positive 8. This one says negative 8. I just tweaked it a little bit. Just to add some variety. Now, we can check this by substituting negative 16 back into the original equation, and that would get us negative 16 over 2 equals negative 8. Is this a true statement? Is negative 16 divided by 2 worth negative 8? And yes, it is. This is correct. Moving on to this one, we start again on the variable side. It has shifted to the right side. And the variable's being divided by negative 4. How do you destroy a negative 4? A divide by negative 4. How do you destroy a divide by negative 4? You do the opposite. You multiply it by negative 4. So we will put multiply by negative 4 in brackets. Remember, we don't write multiplication symbols because we already use x's and we don't want to confuse ourselves. So we use brackets. And you have to put negative 4 because if you put positive 4, the 4's will cancel, but the negatives won't. So write the negative 4 like that. What does monkey see when he sees? He does. So we will put a negative 4 multiplication on the top here. Remember, this is 5 over 1, right? We don't have to show that. We know that by now. So we will just write negative 4. This side makes negative 20. The other side makes just, they're gone. And the negatives, to make just 1x. We don't have to write the 1, right? We know negative 4 over negative 4 is 1, positive 1, but we don't write it because it is pointless. We just write x equals negative 20. Substitute it into the original equation. We get 5 equals negative 20 over negative 4. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 20 divided by 4 is a 5. And we get 5 equals 5. That is a true statement, ladies and gentlemen, which means our answer over here is correct.